Hey yo, OmniDogs and OmniKittens. It's OmniDog from OmniDog's Vault. How's everybody doing today? Usually I take a video and review 3 or 4 books in it, but today I'm reviewing one book series because it has made such an impact on me. I want to devote one video to this book. It is so great that I want everyone to really pay attention to this book. I had a blast reading it, and it is so fun that I wanted everyone to pay attention to it. And that book is the 3 volumes of Hillbilly by Eric Powell. I can't say enough. I even took notes on this book. That's how seriously I took this book. It's by Eric Powell, who wrote Goon, and of course I loved Goon. And if anything, this book is even better than Goon. I don't know how he did it, but the art is fantastic. He uses different styles in it. There are a couple of guest artists in it, but he uses different styles in it, different color palettes. And the stories he writes in it, it's all mythic folk tales, and it involves witches and goblins and serpents in the hills, in the countryside, and it is fantastic. It involves, let's see if we can get a picture of him, a guy named Rondell, or Rondell, either way. He is a witch hunter, and that axe he carries right there is from the devil himself, and it is enchanted and can kill all manner of evil, enchanted, magical creatures. It is mostly for killing witches, but it does its job on all kinds of serpents and trolls and all kinds of other things. And the art in it, he was born without eyes, but a witch cut 2 slits in his, as he grew older, a witch cut 2 black slits in his eyes, and he's known as the boy that cries black tears. And he wanders the countryside, normally with his trusty grizzly bear, Lucille, who can, of course, talk. And they make a very interesting couple of friends. So as you can see, he's got a big black beard. He wanders around righting wrongs where he can find them. And in this is volume 1. In this one, he is in a bar, or a tavern rather, and somebody comes in, and his bride has been hexed. And so he goes off to try and lift the hex, but all is not as it seems, and I won't spoil it for you, but he does meet death once or twice. There's death, and he meets death, who rides on a pale horse. He meets death once or twice in this book, and it is an extremely interesting story. And by interesting, I mean fun and fast-paced and well-told, and I think it is remarkable. The book is so interesting. It's just, I can't use the word interesting so much. Then he usually is traveling alone with Lucille, but then he eventually pairs up with his childhood friend Esther, and the little boy at the beginning of the story is James Stone. James Stone Turner. Here they are looking for this stone that has been stolen by a couple of trolls from James Village, and they're looking for it. And they run across a white witch that has been turned into a mountain lion. And I'm not going to give you too many details because I don't want to ruin the story, but it's great. Then in the book, Rondell encounters a cursed violin and all the repercussions that have to deal with that cursed violin. Then there is a story, an extra story that was in Comixology exclusive original short story introducing the new series. So there's a Comixology story that deals with trolls and some other creature. So it's an extra story. That's just book one. Book one is great. Then we move on to book two. And in book two, we meet Tailipo. Tailipo is because this is Tailipo, some kind of goblin. And he's in search of his tail because he's not a good goblin. Not a good goblin at all. He loses his tail, and he is in search of it, and he hates Rondel, and he wants his tail back, and he gets in league with witches, and so Tailipo becomes a source of antagonism for Rondel throughout the book. And James Stone Turner is a very important character throughout the book too, along with Esther. So you'll also be hearing tales of the Iron Child. They tell stories of the Iron Child. Here's the Iron Child in a story. There's many a tale told of the Iron Child, and this becomes very important too. So you need to pay attention. Well, of course, you have to pay attention to the whole book. You're not reading it to not pay attention. But you need to pay attention to these stories of the Iron Child. Now, this next story is interesting because Rondel gets captured by a witch. And she means to nail him up and kill him. And we learn in this story the origin of his friendship with Lucille, which is a very cool story. The grizzly bear, the talking giant grizzly bear. So then a little bit later on, he's freezing out in the snow, and he takes refuge in a house in the middle of nowhere where a guy that doesn't speak English gives him some soup, and he takes a psychedelic journey. So that's a pretty cool part where he has these visions. And so the visions go on for a while. And then the last story is about some witches that come and take James Stone Turner from the village. And here we learn that James is not quite what he seems to be. He's a little bit more than your average villager. Finally, in the last book of Hillbilly, it's one long story arc, and it's about the coming war with the witches. The witches have joined together. They're not battling each other as they have throughout the first two books. All the witches have joined forces, summoned up an army of serpents and goblins and cyclops and all other manner of evil creatures. And so Rondel and James and Esther and Lucille all have to try to convince town after town to try and rally the troops. Well, you go into a town and try and tell them the witches are coming to get them and see where it gets you, and it gets them absolutely nowhere. But we also learn about James Stone Turner and his history of his people, and they're coming to the shores of this country, and he comes from a noble line of kings who come here for a noble cause, and he comes from royalty that is that has to do with the stone he found and his powers, and is a very interesting part of the story. And he is very much of royal blood, and this is an excellent part of the book. And it is all building up to a crescendo of trying to get an army to defeat the witches' army. And I really can't show you much more because it will show you, I can show you this page, it will show you too much of what's happening of Rondel and his gang versus the coming war of the witches. I can't say enough about this book. It's my favorite read so far of 2019. We're at the midpoint of March of 2019. Hillbilly by Eric Powell is my favorite read so far. The art is fantastic. The reading is great. The stories are so well told. They're individual stories, but they link up, but they can be told separately. He has really, really grown so much as a storyteller and an artist, even since Goon. I gotta hand it to him. He is one talented son of a gun. Really, really respect Eric Powell. I love this guy's writing and art. I highly, highly recommend you read Hillbilly. Get the 3 volumes. It's by albatrossfunnybooks.com, which I am assuming is his own imprint, I guess. But I'm sure you can get it through any comic book store, in stock trades, Amazon, any place you want to go. I'm sure you can get it. I just got it through in stock trades, but you can get it through Amazon, or if you live in Europe, you can get it through your local retailer or mail order there. Whatever you do, this needs to be your next read. Hillbilly. So, thank you for watching. Thank you, anybody out there who hasn't subscribed yet. Please subscribe. Please hit the like button. If you want to comment, I always respond to comments. And thank you for watching. Peace and love. Peace and love.